Major news unfolding in New York today. President-elect Donald Trump's sentencing for his May criminal trial in relation to hush money payments now delayed for time number 3. CBS News politics reporter Jake Rosen is live with us from West Palm Beach, right near the president-elect's Mar-a-Lago. What is the reaction to this from Camp Trump?
Well, we have not heard anything yet officially from them, Reed, although they took kind of a victory lap on Tuesday when there were some court filings indicating what would happen here, especially in terms of what the Manhattan DA did in terms of not arguing to keep this date where it was set for in about a week from now. We have to remember that Donald Trump's whole campaign really, especially after that conviction, was built around this, quote, lawfare, a Department of Justice that was going after Donald Trump for years. They used this case as the prime example of it, especially because he was proved guilty, and his poll numbers really reflected that. After he was found guilty, his poll numbers really didn't go below 50%, and the Republican Party really rallied around him, especially after that. Matt Gaetz pick, controversial as we know, withdrew yesterday, but he was one of those people who Donald Trump wanted to put in place to make sure that that did not happen to him again under the next administration.
Right, and this is not to say that this case goes away forever, but there is some indication from the president-elect's team that they would like it to go away forever and are taking some official moves to make that happen. What's happening there?
Right, and so the Trump campaign has argued since that presidential immunity decision over the summer that they wanted this case to completely go away and have moved to dismiss it. We'll wait to see whether that paperwork officially comes in over the next couple of days. They'll be hearing soon on that. Now, in addition to that, the Manhattan DA's office is well aware of the fact that because of that decision, could be some potential discussion on what evidence was included in the trial that would give Trump some immunity and would not be included again in that final verdict. And they are basically not arguing with the fact that this decision was to punt this sentencing, although we don't know, Reed, yet how far they would be willing to go, whether it's to aim to do it towards the end of a potential Trump term or way after, or potentially don't even try to move to settle this for the next years to come.
All right, so Jake, also we understand there's more breaking news here, and to sort of set this up and to frame it, Matt Gaetz was the president-elect's choice to be attorney general. That went down in flames yesterday. But then we had a lot of questions because of what the president-elect put on Truth Social, sort of saying, I look forward to seeing what Mr. Gaetz does from here. He forecast into the future. On the point of the future of Matt Gaetz, you have some breaking news about whether he'll return to Congress, because he could still come back to Congress, correct?
We do. And so Matt Gaetz, because he technically won his election in November for the 119th Congress, the one that gets sworn in early next year, he could rejoin, even though he technically has resigned from this Congress, which would go between now and January. Now, Matt Gaetz said today on a radio show hosted by conservative influencer and activist Charlie Kirk down here in Florida that he's willing to fight for Donald Trump, but it will not be in Congress. He said that 8 years in Congress was enough for him, and he's hoping to move on. Now, there's some speculation of whether that could be a run for potentially that Senate seat that would open up if Marco Rubio is officially confirmed to be Secretary of State, or potentially after Ron DeSantis, who is term limited, leaves office in a couple years, he could potentially run for that seat as well. He's an extremely popular politician among that MAGA base. We saw that really when it came down to these confirmation fights between the more traditional conservatives in the Senate and those MAGA ones who were really defending Gaetz wherever it came down to. But Matt Gaetz, as of this morning, saying that he was no longer interested in serving in Congress and he would stick to his resignation letter he submitted last week.
All right, so tee up somebody who people know a lot about where you're standing there in the state of Florida, Pam Bondi for Attorney General. That is now Team Trump's pick to go forward into the confirmation process. For a nation that doesn't know about Pam Bondi, get us caught up on who she is, what she's about, and what maybe her journey would be going into confirmation.
So Bondi is the former Florida Attorney General. She was a Trump ally and one of the first Florida statewide officials in 2016 to endorse Donald Trump over Marco Rubio, who you'll remember ran against Donald Trump way back then. Pam Bondi has been right by Donald Trump's side through a lot of these legal issues. She was a vocal defender of Donald Trump during that Manhattan trial that we just spoke about, going to court with him at times, even alongside Matt Gaetz. So you have to really, that was a crucial time really in Donald Trump's Attorney General picking history that time at the trial. She's someone who Donald Trump says will really focus on immigration and crime, the two things that a Department of Justice head should do in the former president and president-elect's words. And we'll see whether there's really an easier path. It looks looks, although, in the immediate time since this pick was announced last night, a lot of favorable reaction, and someone who has been an attorney general on a statewide level, which Matt Gaetz had not, which really gives her that credential to really carry herself into the next couple of weeks and months in meetings on the Hill.
So, Jake, 4 major cabinet choices still remain unannounced. We continue watching conversations about the Treasury position. You see right here on the monitor behind me, there are not faces right there in that graphic. Secretary of the Treasury, Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Secretary of Agriculture, and the Secretary of Labor. Pick one of those and let us know if you're hearing any candidates. And when do you think we could hear some of those faces filled in?
Well, there's 2 that I'll focus on. The first is Department of Treasury. There's been some speculation and reporting over the last couple of weeks that there's really been a contentious battle over who gets this role. Is it tied to a potential departure of Jerome Powell as Fed chair in terms of giving someone that role temporarily? In addition to that, Department of Labor. CBS News can confirm that Republican Congressman Lori Chavez, the Reamer, met with Donald Trump yesterday at Mar-a-Lago to discuss that potential labor role. There has been no announcements on any of those fronts that you just named, although I would expect that we see a lot more coming into next week and Thanksgiving, where Donald Trump and his allies have signaled he wants to have all the picks wrapped up by the holiday a week from now.
Jake Rosen, CBS News politics reporter. My friend, I'm glad you got the black shirt with white button memo. Looking smart there in West Palm Beach. Thank you very, very much. All right, so we continue this conversation from Florida now to where the rubber meets the road in the halls of Congress. CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane joins us now with more. Let's circle back to Mr. Gaetz' decision not to join Congress again. How does this really impact the president-elect's agenda in the House?
It's one more vote he won't have when he takes office January 20th, because they're going to have to fill this vacancy that Matt Gaetz has left effective January 3rd as well. That requires a special election, that requires logistics, that requires time. You can't just have a special election like this. You have to have candidates, ballots, polling places.
Right.
So when President-elect Trump takes office after inauguration, he has this precariously narrow majority in the U.S. House, estimated at 220 to 215 or 221 to 214. But you'll recall, President-elect Trump already has sights set on taking 2 of those House Republicans for his administration, Elise Stefanik of New York and Michael Waltz of Florida. That makes the margins narrower. There's going to be an ambitious legislative rollout. He has incredibly little margin for error in the House, almost no votes to spare, and now Matt Gaetz is gone and not coming back. That may dampen some of the ambitions in the first few weeks, even the first few months.
So, Scott, let's talk about Delaware's Sarah McBride, elected to Congress. McBride, a transgender person, and already there's controversy over bathrooms. You have some exclusive reporting to bring to our viewers.
Sarah McBride is the first transgender member elected to Congress ever. She's been here over the past week for orientation, training. When you get elected to Congress, they bring you here before you swear the oath of office to learn how to run an office, how to do the parliamentary procedures of the House, and kind of stand you up before you take office and represent your district. Sarah McBride, as she was here for orientation, got met with this new House rule, which prohibits the use of bathrooms by the transgender community, the use of bathrooms with which they identify in terms of gender. This is a rule that Sarah McBride told CBS News was unnecessary. She had no expectations or anticipation of using a multi-stall bathroom anyhow. And she says if they had just asked her that, they wouldn't have needed to have passed this rule, but they didn't bother to ask her the question. She recognizes she's going to be a lightning rod for any number of issues from the Republican majority, but she's told CBS News, Reed, she was surprised that they're already targeting her with rules before she even takes the oath of office on January 3rd.
Much more to come on that for sure. You also have some exclusive reporting on just how long the backlog is for the emergency disaster funds, especially timely right now when we're talking about people that are rebounding still from hurricanes, still from wildfires. Walk us through, Scott, what's happening.
There is a pressing issue in those areas impacted by Hurricanes Helene and Maria, and yes, by the wildfires. The Small Business Administration's disaster loan program here in Washington, which is huge and important, it helps homeowners and businesses get loans to rebuild from the damage, ran out of money in October. They raised red flags, urged Congress to move and get the fund replenished so those disaster-impacted families could get some money. Congress left here again yesterday without replenishing that fund, with no expectation they'll do so before the next spending deadline to fund the government, December 20th. Ted Budd, a senator from North Carolina, told me they need that money yesterday, that these backlogs are growing. And our CBS News reporting as the day began here in Washington is there are now tens of thousands of pending applications for emergency loans that cannot be acted on because there is no money indefinitely.
Scott MacFarlane, CBS News congressional correspondent, our thoughts with all of the people who are waiting for that money in the rebound of hurricanes and wildfires. Thank you so much for talking to us on CBS News 24/7.